Hi there, my name is Céline Doucet, and I'm a Community Engagement Programs Coordinator on the U Ottawa Community Engagement Team. And I'm here to offer you a short presentation on the Community Service Learning Program, which will be offered in your course this summer. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with community engagement at U Ottawa, you might be familiar with our old name, which was the Michael Jean Center for Global and Community Engagement. If that name still doesn't ring a bell, basically we're a volunteering hub on campus and we work with hundreds of community partners, whether they be on campus or off campus, to develop and find some meaningful volunteering opportunities for you as students at the university. How we go about doing this, we offer our two main volunteering programs. The first one being our academic program, Community Service Learning, so CSL for short, and this is what we're going to be talking about today. And the other program we offer is extracurricular volunteering. This one's pretty straightforward. Like the title says it's volunteering that you do, on your own free time based on your interests and availabilities. We also offer community engagement scholarships. Now, there's more information on these on our website, but we like to talk about them during our presentations because not many students know that these actually exist. So if you consider yourself to be quite involved, in your community, I definitely encourage you to check them out and see if you could apply for them in the upcoming terms. We also offer a very interesting document called the co-curricular record. I will talk a little bit more about this on a later slide, but it's definitely a perk of going through our team for volunteering. Finally, my coordinates are right at the bottom of the slide here. You could see my email address as well as my phone number. So if you have any questions about the CSL program or if you wanted to touch base and connect, please do feel free to reach out to me. Now, what is community service learning? CSL is an academic program where US students have the chance to participate in an experiential learning placement as part of your course. Now, what this is going to look like in your syllabus, CSL is worth a percentage of your final grade, and it's a choice. So you will have the option to either pick the CSL component in your course or to pick the alternative assignment. So the details on this are in your syllabus, but it's something to think about when you're kind of mapping out what you're going to be doing throughout the session. The CSL program counts for 20 hours of volunteering throughout the session. This represents probably 3 to 4 hours per week for a summer class session. And the CSL placement is wrapped up by a short reflection activity. The idea behind this is not to give you as students more work, but rather to make sure that you're linking what you're learning in class to what you've been doing in the community. So details on the reflection activity should be in your syllabus as well. Now, there are a few advantages to choosing the CSL option in your course. Of course, it's a chance for you to apply your skills and develop some new competencies. So, this is a chance for you to, apply the theory that you're learning in class into real life situations and support an organization who needs your help. So, ultimately, it's a different experience that you're able to get in this course by selecting the CSL program. Another main point that I like to bring up is volunteering is extremely valuable experience. Throughout your placement, you'll get the chance to develop, as I said, some new skills, some competencies, and ultimately this will improve your employability and hopefully ease your transition into the job market when the time comes. And on another note, when we talk about volunteering, there's always that aspect of, social responsibility and consciousness. So just the fact of giving back to your community all while completing some course credits could be what's the most interesting part of CSL for you. The last thing I'm going to bring out that's on the slide here is the co-curricular record that I mentioned earlier. So when you go through us to volunteer, you're logging your hours through our system, which is an app in UOZone. And what this allows you to come out of the experience with is an official certificate that states all the hours of volunteering that you've completed with which organizations. It includes information such as, the title of your placement, the number of hours completed, so it's a golden document going forward, especially, I mean, if you're looking to apply for jobs, for example, or if you're looking to apply for scholarships, or if you're looking to apply for grad studies, even. So lots of ways this document could be of great use to you. So just if you pass through us to volunteer, definitely request your co-curricular record. It's completely free and we could get it to you pretty quickly as well. Now, what to expect? What are the main stages of CSL? The first thing I want to bring your attention to in this slide is the very bottom that says consult the CSL student reference sheet on the Brightspace section of your course. This student reference sheet will be your best friend throughout the whole placement process. It includes, all the information you need to know and all the instructions you'll need to consult to go through our process. So if ever you're not sure how to move forward, I definitely encourage you to check out the student reference sheet. And if the answer to your question is not there, then of course you could come see me for help. So the first thing to mention is that we have an app accessible to you via UOZone called the Community Engagement Navigator. Now, this is the app in which you'll be able to see all the placement descriptions that are matched to the course and where you'll be able to select a placement for the CSL program. The first step, as mentioned just now, is to select a placement. To do this, we definitely recommend that you read the placement requirements and descriptions of the ones that interest you and identify a top three. The reason we ask you to identify a top three is because there is going to be a specific registration period slash window during which you're able to actually select the placement in your class. Um, by identifying a top three, this allows you to go in right at the beginning of the registration period and pick your number one choice. If for some reason your number one choice was already selected by a classmate, then you could quickly go and pick your number two choice instead. Um, and when we say identify your top three, it does not mean select three placements in our system. It just means, write them down on a sticky note or make a mental note of top three. And in our system, you're only going to be selecting one placement for the session. So you're going to select that during the registration period. And as I mentioned, it is first come, first serve. So that's why if you want to be quick on your feet, if your number one choice is gone, having that top three will guarantee or maximize the chances that you get, one of your top choices as the placement for the session. Once you select the placement, it's pretty simple. You'll receive an automated email from our team with your supervisor's contact information. From there, we advise that you get in touch with them within 24 hours to set up an initial meeting and meet with them as soon as possible to get the ball rolling on the placement. Once that's done, even more simple, you're going to complete your hours. There is a typo on the screen. It's not 30 hours in the summer, it is only 20 hours. And just be sure to enter your volunteer hours in our system regularly and adding the tasks that you've completed there. This will allow you to kind of track where you're at in your 20 hours, and it'll allow us and your professor to see when you're close to being done or when you're done those 20 hours. Finally, once you've completed your hours, there is the short reflection activity to complete that I mentioned earlier. The details for this are in your syllabus, so I encourage you to look there if you have any questions about this. If for some reason none of the placements that are in the Navigator really interest you, or if you actually have connections with, an organization in the community that relates to what you're learning about in class, you may propose your own placement, sorry. But all the placement proposals have to be submitted by May 13th. Something important for you to know is that we only work with non-for-profits, university faculties and services, schools, health agencies, and government agencies, but we do not work with private companies. There is a form for you to fill out if you wish to propose your own placement. So if this is something that interests you, definitely get in touch with both your professor and I, and we will advise you on next steps for this. Important dates for your course this summer is that the registration period opens as of May 2nd at 9 a.m. and will close on May 9th at 5 p.m. So this is the window in which you're going to be able to select a placement for the session. As I said just now, the placement proposals have to be submitted to us by May 13th. And finally, volunteer hours have to be completed by June 10th, 2022, which coincides with the last day of class for you. Now, once your placement is complete, We do send out a survey to all of our CSL students. So if ever you have, 5 minutes to spare and you do see our email come through, we'd appreciate any kind of feedback that you could give us about our programs as it will help us improve for the coming sessions. The other thing to do is to request your free co-curricular record. Here on the slide, you could actually see what the document looks like in the picture here. And the third thing to do is make sure you include your CSL experience in your resume. As I said earlier, volunteer experience is extremely valuable. So you want to make sure to include it in your resume. And, if you're not sure how to include it, or depending on the role you're applying for, if you should put it under like relevant experience or in a separate category under volunteer experience, we have some great resources for that. We have the Career Corner on campus, and they could help you really make your volunteer experiences shine in your resume and make sure that they're included in the best way possible. And these are services that are free to you as students. So I encourage you, you could either drop in person. We are located in UCU 216, or check out our website. They have a live chat feature, so they're going to be able to help you pretty quickly, regardless of how you want to reach out to us. So that goes about, I think that's about everything I wanted to go through in the presentation. Again, my coordinates are here on the last slide, as well as the important dates for the registration period. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening.